hope I learned something. I hope I learned something. I hope I learned something from the stormy seas, from the brightest days, from the darkest nights, from the sunny days. Hope you learned something.
Well, I can... Oh, forgot my hat. Well, I can see that even though I didn't change anything between this morning and now, OBS has decided that it refuses to work. First, it told me that my video cards weren't connected, even though I'm looking at both monitors right now, and I was then. So I had to completely update my video card drivers, which takes minutes, as you've seen. And then I launched OBS, and the music wouldn't play. Just no music. No music. So I don't even know if you can hear me now. Oh, I can't hear me. Hang on a second. Did my earbuds decide to quit working too? Hang on. Of course it's tangled. Why wouldn't it be tangled? Why wouldn't it be tangled? How else can we make my day better? Technology. All right. These damn things. Let me just see if these work. All right. Let me just see if these work. There we go. Great. My headsets, or my Raycons stopped working. Folks, I know that I plugged Raycons quite a bit when I first got them. Forget it. They're trash. They're absolute trash. Forget it. I don't know if I'm going to just send the ones I just ordered back or not. I'm not sure. But they were working fine when I tried starting the stream. Then the video errors started happening through OBS. So I stopped OBS, updated the video drivers, and then the headset stopped working. That's why I couldn't hear the music. I'm sorry. You don't need all this. You just need a news show. I did not sleep at all last night, so I'm going to do a short show today. So bear with me. But that's what's going on right now. So let's just get right to it. All right. Wow, that worked. That's news. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Babylon Bee here and see what we can find. Oh, perfect. Just perfect. Our first Babylon Bee bookend. This is the one on the left from the healthcare section. CNN airs hour-long, PSA on warning signs of dementia. A topic near and dear to my heart. Dateline, Cincinnati, Ohio. As part of a campaign to raise awareness and improve public knowledge on treatment options, CNN aired an hour-long public service announcement on the warning signs of dementia Wednesday night. The PSA, which ran over an hour, showed tragic footage of an old man ranting and making nonsensical, confusing statements. CNN says they hope the footage will encourage family members of the elderly to get them tested for the early warning signs of dementia. The cable news channel displayed a phone number for a hotline people can call if they believe someone they know might be suffering from symptoms of the condition. Said Don Lemon, quote, "If you or a loved one act like this man, please, we beg you, get help. Slurred speech, inaccurate statements, and inability to remember where you are, these are all signs that your loved one might be suffering from dementia, whether he's retired or the President of the United States." Close quote. Another quote, And we'd take the rhubarb and we'd put it in the pie, right in the old pie, the old man said suddenly in a rare moment of lucidity. Quoting again, it was incredible. You wouldn't think rhubarb would taste good, but it's the sweetness, the strawberries. The strawberries. The strawberries. That's what makes it work. Airplanes. Airplanes are neat, you know, but they're a myth. How did they get them up there? They don't even have feathers. Close quote. Many attendees were touched by both the PSA and the old man. That works on several levels. And again, I don't read these ahead of time, so we're going into these cold, folks. Moving right along. The market. The market closed barely up today. The Dow Jones finished not even a full 1/10% up. Tenth of a percent up. It closed at 0.07% up, closing just over 34,820. The S&P 500 saw a 0.2% increase, and the NASDAQ led the day with a 0.3% increase, 0.36% increase, pardon me. It was a rocky day today as new jobless numbers came out, and once again, underperforming maliciously compared to what we've been promised. I'll get to that in a moment. Gold held on to finish above 1,800 an ounce yet again, but not by much. Crude oil is bouncing back up over 2% from its previous mark at $71.72 per barrel of West Texas Intermediate sweet crude. And Bitcoin is staging a bit of a rally today, holding well above 32,000 for quite a while now. It's up almost 1.5% over its previous mark at 32,293 and change per coin. Yes, and Wheatmouth817 correctly identifies the strawberries as coming from the Cane Mutiny. Good call, good call. One of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely favorite movies of all time. I'm glad you got the reference, Wheatmouth. Thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to see if anyone would get it. I wanted to leave it out there. So, good job. Okay, so, as I just teased, jobless numbers. They went up again. Now, numbers of those receiving unemployment went down dramatically by close to 1 million. But about half the states in the country stopped paying the extra federal $300 a week over the past couple weeks. So that's where those numbers came from. But jobless claims rose to 419,000 last week, according to Brian Mina from the Wall Street Journal, an archived article, of course. Initial jobless claims of proxies for layoffs rose by 51,000 to a seasonally adjusted 419,000 for the week ended July 17. The 4-week moving average slightly increased to 385,250. The increase returned the level of claims to near levels recorded in early June. Continuing unemployment payments through regular state programs decreased by 29,000 for the week ending July 10th, the lowest level since March 2020. But it is not. Here's the bad part. U.S. employers added 850,000 jobs in June, the largest gain in 10 months, and workers' wages rose briskly, more signs of a strengthening labor market. That's also a greater sign of inflation. Wall Street Journal, or don't you know how to do math? Economists surveyed in July expected employers to add an average of nearly 500,000 jobs a month over the next year, which would be a historically fast pace of employment gains. And again, those are not gains. Those are just jobs that pretty much existed before, reappearing as the job market is brought back online by states ending shutdowns. I did not like it when Trump did this, and I don't like it when Biden does it. These are not new jobs, except in probably a small percentage. And maybe there are a few new jobs, but for the most part, these are old jobs that people are trying to fill. And let's pay attention to the true problem here. Jobs went up. The number of jobs went up almost by 1 million, 850,000 in 1 month. But jobless claims rose 51,000 for the last week. That is where the disconnect is. That is the number that people aren't talking about, except the businesses who cannot remain open during hours they would have been able to just a year and a half ago, but no longer can because they can't get people to come in and work. I think the article has further down. Here's an article from, a quote from a gentleman named Jeff Stoltman. He runs a place called Guard and Grace, a steakhouse in downtown Denver. And the article says, the restaurant is experiencing a resurgence in business as diners venture out and tourism picks up, but the restaurant is struggling to find workers to meet that demand, and as a result is keeping its dining room closed for lunch service. Said Mr. Stoltman, it's a slower process than it's ever has been to find workers. People apply but don't show up for interviews. Maybe they're finding employment elsewhere, but it could also be they're meeting job search requirements but don't really want a job. And so what he's referring to there are job search requirements that many state unemployment systems require. You have to show that you are looking for work. Here's the thing, though. You don't have to show that you could have taken the job but didn't. There's the rub. So you go out, you fill out an application, you make a copy of it, whatever. Use that when you go to unemployment to pick up your next check. Say, here, I was looking for work, I didn't get hired, or I couldn't take the job. And boom, you get your money. It's always been a big problem with unemployment claims, and it's even worse now. See, you're not going to recover the economy, even if you do open all the businesses, if they can't stay open for a regular amount of time. You're artificially cutting revenue by not having enough people on the workforce. A restaurant, a convenience store can't meet their potential if they can't stay open during regular business hours. There are many restaurants across the country, thousands, as I've seen from various reports, who can't be open Sundays, can't be open lunches, because they don't have enough people to cover all the shifts. It's happening all across the country in areas where you can dine in again. And that's just restaurants. I would like to welcome Twin Crier to the Trovo chat. You didn't miss much, my dear. I was very late today. Massive technical problems yet again. Nice to see you, though. Nice to see you. Missed you this morning. It was actually a pretty good stream this morning. I only died a couple times. Had a really cool dungeon crawl through. Not really a dungeon, more like an underground dwelling. Old Nord dwelling. It was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Had a lot of help from the internet today. But nice to see you, of course. All right, moving right along. So, of course, one of the ways we're going to grow the economy is through business grants. It's a great way to give capital to small businesses, especially minority businesses who may not have access to capital through regular banking because they may not have a regular banking account. They just do cash only and don't have access to that type of capital. So that's one of the reasons the federal government has a number of programs allowing investment into businesses through federal dollars. And one of those is let me get it here, the grants given by the U.S. Economic Development Administration, which I didn't even know existed, but it seems that it does. Here's the thing, though. As far as Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo is concerned, I believe she used to be governor of Rhode Island. So that obviously prepared her as being Secretary of Commerce, just like being mayor of South Bend prepared Pete Buttigieg to be Secretary of Transportation. Shudder. But it seems that Gina has a real specific focus on these grants. And that is equity. Yeah, equity. It doesn't matter if you've got a great business model over another company if you're not going to make sure that you hire what the government considers to be the right ratio of minority and transgender and disabled and veterans and homeless, and whatever categories they feel are trendy at the moment. And if you think I'm kidding, listen to this. So she was asked about the EDA grants, and the question was following: I understand that you are going to judge some of these by return on investment, otherwise known as ROI. How are we defining ROI, given that that could often exclude priorities like gender and racial equality? So right there, you have someone from the left media setting her up, not asking how is it that equity and equality should be factors as opposed to ROI. They're actually telling her, we understand that you want it to be more important, and we're behind you. So here you go, setting you up. Here's the pitch. So here's Raimondo's response. So our number one priority is equity. And as our team decides which, this is a competitive grant process. By the way, I think that the fact of the competition will help communities come together as a community and put their best ideas forward. Here's my favorite part. In order to qualify to get the money, you'll have to prove to us that you'll have an equity lens, and whether it's job training that you're doing, you have to make sure that women, people of color, veterans, people who have been left out will be included in this. So it's a lens we're going to take across the $3 billion from, as we would guess, the EDA budget. $3 billion. The same reporter asks, and like whoever does it best? Correct, exactly, replies Raimondo. Another reporter asks, what type of follow-up will there be? You're emphasizing equity, but will you be following up to make sure that that money is fairly distributed to the communities that you're speaking of that really do need it? Raimondo responds, so we are deeply committed for this to be transparent. Everything is going to be online. It's going to be on our website. It's going to be a wide open, transparent process. And we are, at the get-go, putting in place accountability measures. Accountability measures. So in other words, if you don't hire the people we tell you to hire, not based on skill, but based on whatever quality we find to be important at that time, we're not going to give you the money. We're going to be more interested in people who check the boxes, who dance the dance as we play the tune. Remember, folks, equity is bringing everybody down to the same level. Meritocracy is letting the best rise to the top. That is what this administration is dead set against. They are all about leveling the playing field. And the only way you can level a playing field easily is not to bring the bottom reaches up. It's to bring the top reaches down. And that is their goal. They want to make this country more and more dependent upon government money. So we'll keep voting for them because we know that if we don't vote for them anymore, that money might get turned off. This is insidious. This is destroying the American dream. Let's say you're an employer. Let me just take this a step further, a little thought experiment. You're an employer, and you have 6 people who've applied for the job. 3 of them are very qualified. 1 of them is marginal, and the other 2 couldn't cut it, in your opinion. They don't have the drive, they don't have the intelligence, whatever. So you've got 4 pickups out of the 6. But you want the grant. You need the grant. And you're told by Gina's people, yeah, but those 2 that you don't want, one's LGBTQ, and the other is, well, something that we think is important. You know, East Asian for it, Asian Pacific Islander. So if you want the money, you're going to have to hire them and cut 2 of the other 3 who aren't of the same category that we feel are important. Where's your business going to go? You'll get the money, but are you going to thrive? And what if those people don't cut it? And you have to let them go, as you expected all along. And you want to hire the other people who you thought would be able to do the job. Gina's people would tell you, well, then we're cutting off your grant because you're not keeping up with the equity program. So screw you and your business model. Screw you and your dream. We're gonna make sure that somebody else who has a more diverse employee base gets your money. Thanks for playing our game. I'd like to welcome Ray to the D-Live chat. Dog says it's buffering. Shouldn't be. I've got the video card split. Let me look at my end here. Let me look at my end. Yeah, I'm looking at Ray's D-Live animations right now. They're playing fine. I turned down the resolution yesterday like I promised, and I split the video cards again. So, and I'm streaming at 6,000 bits per second, 60 frames per second. Nothing more I can do. Nothing more I can do on this end. Okay, moving right along. Oops, wrong screen. So, Ray called the next story. I'm sure he didn't mean to, but Ray often is ahead of the game. And we have a piece about Peppermint Patty. Thank you for reminding me, Ray, that she is in fact Peppermint Patty. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. The most transparent, the most honest administration in history. We've been promised that from day one. And every time you turn around, they shut the door on another piece of transparency. I mean, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, I've got this story here, but I've got another revelation about the Hunter Biden art scam. That's popped up again. So it's a 1-2 punch today, folks. So what we have is the White House campus positive numbers for COVID. You remember there was the super spreader event with the Texas Democrats. By definition, that is not a partisan phrase on my part. By definition, that Texas Democrat junket was a super spreader event. And we were told just the other day that the Democrats will stop reporting their positive cases, even though that's expected of everybody else. And we were told yesterday that there were more than one breakout cases of COVID on the White House grounds, the campus as they're calling it now. But we were told that we're only going to report those cases from commissioned officers, and we never got a definition as to what that means. I agree, Happy Soup. Important and depressing. I agree. In fact, I'll tell you, Happy Soup, my wife used to be my executive producer, Picasso knows, my dearest, my sweet Babu of over 31 years. But she can't watch the show anymore. She hasn't been able to for months. It's too depressing for her. I try to get lighthearted stuff in here too. I open and close with the Babylon Bee, give everybody a break. But sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's tough. You're right. But so yeah, Jen Psaki again doubled down that they're not going to be transparent about White House Chinese Communist Party virus positivity numbers. Of course, you have to ask the question, why are you even bothering testing if everybody's vaccinated? Now again, I don't care if you're vaccinated or not. It's none of my damn business. If you feel you need it, if you and your doctor agree that it would be a good idea, great. If for whatever reason you decide not to, great. This is America. You're allowed to make your own health decisions up to a certain point. There are certain childhood diseases where vaccination is required to attend school, like measles and rubella and mumps. I got chickenpox and mumps at the same time in grade school, and I was miserable because that was before the vaccines came out. Miserable. I don't know if you've ever heard of calamine lotion, but I had to literally bathe in it because I was itching so badly. Bottles and bottles of this stuff. It doesn't come in gallons. It just came in little 1.5 pint, 2-pint bottles. And so I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm pro-choice, especially when it comes to this vaccine. It is, after all, under emergency use authorization. There are questions, many that the White House and the CDC refuses to answer. Be that as it may, again, we were told this was the most transparent and honest administration in history. Then we were told, well, we're only reporting commissioned officers. That's not what we were told in the beginning of the administration. So now we're, again, today, Psaki doubles down. She was asked, quote, "It's been a couple days since we talked about the breakthrough case on the campus here, and that you acknowledged there were additional breakthrough cases." This is, again, a question from a reporter. "Can you give us now the number of breakthrough cases that have occurred during the Biden presidency?" Psaki answered, "Well, I would say that first, that our medical experts, our health experts, have been conveying from the beginning, as have we, that there would be cases of individuals who are vaccinated who tested positive for COVID." Psaki responded, "Not true." Quoting her further, "There are 2,000 people who work on the campus, and of course, that means that just statistically speaking, there will be people who are vaccinated individuals who get COVID on the campus." Here's the kicker. What I announced yesterday, or conveyed yesterday, was what our policy would be moving forward. But no, I don't think you can expect that we're going to be providing numbers of breakthrough cases now. Another quote from her, "I think, one, we're in a very different place than we were several months ago." Which means we promised we were going to be transparent, but we lied. And here's further proof that we're lying. But I'm going to say that we're in a different place, a very different place, as opposed to saying, yes, we lied. And again, why bother testing? Really, if the vaccine is as effective as we're being told, then what is the difference if you test positive or not? Everyone is vaccinated. What do they have to worry about? They're telling us, and the numbers are showing it, basically everyone who's being hospitalized right now, except in small numbers, are people who are unvaccinated. They are younger than the previous workload, which tended to be in their 60s. Now they're in their 40s and a little lower. And the vast majority are unvaccinated. But the death rate has basically not increased at all, except by a very small margin during this last continuing breakout of the Delta variant. During the second breakout, back in January, November through January, you could see the graph at cases, hospitalizations on this side, deaths on this side, and it was a complete 1-to-1. Just boom. The cases got bigger and bigger, and the deaths got bigger and bigger. This time, the cases are increasing, and the deaths are going from like 1.3 per million. No, I'm sorry. 1.3. Let's just put it that way. To 2.1. That is the increase over the last 50 days in death rate, while the number of cases has basically been an exponential curve. But we're being told that natural immunity doesn't count. You've got to be vaccinated. That's what they're telling us. All right, so that's one instance of this administration lying through their teeth. Here's an even funner piece of that. Hunter Biden, remember the guy whose main job has either been to try to find crack in his carpeting or to fly around the world and get money from companies wanting to do business with his dad. By the way, it's not just Hunter. Joe's brothers and his sister have all supped at that same trough. They're all in the same gravy train, although with Hunter, it was Air Force Two. One of Biden's brothers has openly bragged on several occasions. Now that I'm with the company, the money's going to start flowing in because my name's Biden. Not because I have experience, not because I know where to take this company in ways it's never been before, but because my name's Biden. And it's worked every time. So the latest scam for Hunter is art. Hunter is not a trained artist. He hasn't taken a lesson in his life. And I've seen his art. I liked one piece of it. I wouldn't put it on my wall, but I didn't find it offensive. The rest of his stuff, in my opinion, is crap. I don't have a great background in art, but I do have a little. And it's crap. Self-referential crap. But we find out that there's a major art gallery in New York City that has commissioned him to produce a body of work and is going to be listing his pieces at anywhere from $1,000 for small pieces to $500,000 for large wall pieces. Most artists can't get $500,000 for an installation piece, which is something that has to be brought in pieces and put in a large area. And Hunter's setting the prices. Now, of course, the articles came out and explained that the art world is rife with fraud, especially when it comes to laundering money. Buying art is probably the most popular way to launder money over the last decade and a half. Because the sales are normally private. You don't know who bought it. And so people were worrying that Hunter was going to get together with these people. They were going to give him hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then Hunter would say a kind word about them to Dad, who is no longer vice president. He is now the diaper wearer in chief. But the White House came up with a great plan to make all that go away, to stay being the most transparent and honest administration in history, by putting together a deal with the art broker to where the buyers would be secret. No one would know who they were except the art gallery owner, because he's taken the money. He would be the go-between between Hunter and the buyer. So Hunter would not know who bought the art. And so there would be no influence. Now, of course, there was no plan from the White House as to how they were going to be transparent about that, how they were going to prove that the art dealer wasn't telling Hunter who the buyers were. We're just supposed to take their word for it. Well, folks, it's gotten even better. Got an article here from CBS News, archived, of course. Now it turns out there's going to be 2 gallery openings for Hunter, a smaller one in California, in LA, and then the big one that was already planned in New York City. Same gallery owner for both. Hunter's going to be at those events, and he'll be mixing and mingling with the prospective buyers. Now, we're being promised, again by the White House and by the art space owner, the gallery owner, pardon me, that Hunter will not talk business with any of these people. It'll just be a meet and greet. It'll be Hunter, quoting the gallery owner, being presented to the world. His debut. That is a quote from this article. And I'll get to that in a moment, Happy Soup. Thank you for putting that in there. But and again, the White House says, well, you're going to have to take our word for it because we don't have anything in place to prevent Hunter from talking business with these people. And we don't have anything in place to prove that business hasn't been discussed at these events. We're taking the word of the gallery owner, the guy who makes commissions on these sales, the guys whose livelihood depends on making art sell for as high a price as possible. And we're supposed to take his word that no business will be discussed, just Hunter being debuted to the world. How much more debuting does Hunter Biden need? He wrote a damn book. Didn't sell many copies, but it's out there. They could just read the book, but no, they've got to meet him in person before they buy his art, but he won't know who bought it. Of course, neither will we. We won't know how much they spent on it. But trust us. Trust us. It'll all be fine. Because we're the most transparent and honest administration in history. We've not done anything to prove that yet. But trust us this time, for sure, this time. By the way, the gallery owner, he was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon previously in life. Ran up a bunch of credit card debt and wound up declaring bankruptcy. Pier 1 Imports was one of the companies he walked out on. I'm not saying bankruptcy is a bad thing. I have relatives who have filed for bankruptcy. Took them years to get out from underneath it. But it is a thing, and that is true. He did wind up canceling a bunch of debts. But turns out, according to the assault with a deadly weapon charge, it was basically dismissed. The DA's office won't release any details on it. CBS News asked; they won't release any details. So I want to quote Happy Soup in the YouTube chat. They say, "I've never been tested, but had my first vaccination a few weeks back." Gotcha. I trust everything's gone well, and I pray that it works perfectly for you, and you don't get the virus, and if you do, you don't even notice. I have nothing but the best hopes for you. So good for you. I'm glad to share that with everybody. Thank you for putting that up there. By the way, this article was written by Bo Erickson, Finn Gomez, and Arden Fari. 3 people had to write an article about Hunter Biden's art scam. Have you ever noticed how many people these major outlets put on stories? The Daily Wire will have one person here, one person there. They'll divvy up the workload. But with CBS, all these other major outlets, CNN especially, it's always multiple reporters. Well, that's the only way they can justify their salaries, is to co-author articles, because they're too lazy and too stupid to get out there and beat the streets and move the leather on their own. They have to have help. So again, as I said earlier, this is going to be a shorter show today. I did not sleep at all last night, and I just don't have the wherewithal to do a full 2-hour show. So we're going to be out on YouTube in another 2 stories. But please consider joining us on DLive, Trovo, or Twitch. I'm on all those channels. In fact, give me a moment here for those of you in YouTube. I forgot to put up my pinned comment. I've got it right here. It'll be easier for me, as I like to say, to illustrate than to explain. There you have it. So please consider joining us on those 2 channels. Twitch, I just started broadcasting on very recently. So there's that. Oh, okay. I've got a piece from Electric Dog here in the DLive chat. Larry Kudlow blasts Hunter's bad art. Says he hasn't seen it yet. You got it, dude. You got it, folks. Taking the easy way out here today. Playing a video sight unseen by my technical producer and king of the links, Electric Dog. Give it a second for the video to catch up. Might be a little off at first, but the audio, pardon me, might be a little off at first. I'll fix it as quickly as possible. But let me do this here. Okay, where did it go? Okay, I'm gonna hang on just a second. No, that's okay. That's not working. Let me try something else here. I want to put it on the same page that I've got open already. Here we go. All right. Good. It's up. Okay, good people. Again, through the king of the links, Electric Dog, Larry Kudlow, one of my favorite people in the world, hitting Hunter's artwork, according to the title here from Fox Business, as absolute crap and scam art. Before I do anything, let me give Larry a like. Here we go.
Okay, art. True art should be beautiful art, something that can be enjoyed, something that calms the spirit, replenishes the soul, lifts us toward our better angels. You see this picture? This is by the president's son. There it is, right up there. This is not true art. This is crap. It's the worst kind of abstract art. It is fraudulent art. It is scam art. It is fake art. It is some kind of bizarre anti-establishment left-wing garbage. And Hunter Biden, through his agent, a guy named Georges Berger, according to the New York Post, an ex-con with links to China, they're trying to sell this stuff for $500,000 a painting. Okay? Now, you see that picture? This is beautiful, classical art, what is called natural realism. It's real art. It's so good that even our friends of the liberal persuasion love to look at this conservative, traditional, classical art. Who painted this picture? Well, my saintly wife, Judith Pond Kudlow. Highly respected, very successful. In fact, she is one of the leaders of the current movement to go back towards classical art. As I say, natural realism. It is real art. Not only is she a good painter, but she runs a school where she teaches and mentors, and she, of course, is my wife. I make no bones about it. I'm not going to say I'm not prejudiced, but I will say this. Any objective critic will know that this is beautiful art. And any objective critic will know that the stuff Hunter Biden is selling is crap. Okay? So let's have an art fest discussion. Joining us now, Katie Pavlich, editor of thetownhall.com and Fox News contributor, and Guy Benson, Fox News contributor and host of the Guy Benson Show. Okay, kids, you know, I just got to say it. That's my view. His stuff is crap. Look, it's not just my Judy's art. She's part of a beautiful school of beautiful art. Art should be enjoyed. But I just happened to choose her because she just happens to be my bride, and she's in the business. And Katie Pavlich, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble in this segment, but I'll turn it over to you first. Welcome.
Thanks, Larry. It's great to be here. I loved your opening comments about Hunter Biden's art. Mm-hmm. I think that blowing paint through a straw onto a canvas or piece of paper in your pool house is probably the lowest bar in terms of what counts as art these days, and it's certainly not COVID friendly. So I don't know who he's selling these things to, but they're certainly not buying them because they're beautiful or because they're made in a way that can be respected. They're obviously buying these things for an exorbitant amount of money because he's Biden. And this is a pattern he has had throughout the course of his life as an adult, using the Biden family name to make a lot of money in exchange for access to his father. So the anonymous portion of this, them keeping the buyers anonymous, we don't know who they are, is a question for the ethics of the administration. Now, Hunter Biden doesn't work directly for them, but given the history of selling the Biden name for access for meetings or access to the former vice president when he was not in the Oval Office, there are big questions here about what the motivation is behind the buyers of this, as you would say, crap art.
Yeah, I mean, Guy, the only way you could sell this crap, I mean, not for $500,000, for $1.50. The only way you could sell it for $1.50, it's such garbage, is because you're your father's son, and your father happens to be the president. And so Katie is right, and there's ethics issues here, which seem to dog Hunter Biden through no matter what he does. I mean, look at this stuff. There's some more of it on the air. $1.50 on a good day, $1.75, Guy. But this is, a political story as well as an art story, is it not?
Well, it's mostly a political story, because with art, you know this, Larry, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people prefer stuff that others would say is crap. I'm not going to wade into the art battle here. I am woefully unqualified for that. But I will say, if those paintings
Did you see
were created...
Sorry.
I have no comment, Larry, on the art itself. I do have a comment, which is, if his name were Hunter Smith, and he put this out there for sale, if he got $50 for it, he'd be lucky. Right. $500,000 confidential. It's like, hey, his last name is Biden. You can give him $500,000. Don't worry. As the buyer, it's fully confidential. Wink. I wonder what people might be trying to purchase with that $500,000. I would say that these paintings are worth $500,000, the same way that Hunter Biden was qualified enough in energy policy to make $83,000 a month from Burisma in Ukraine, right? It's clearly about one thing and not about the actual substance. And Larry, the one thing, this is the way my brain works. When I saw this story, I thought at some point it dawned on me, when do you think the Clintons realized that they couldn't, if they had really wanted to, they didn't have to go through this whole rigmarole of setting up a foundation and all of this charity stuff and all the fundraising. They could have had Hillary with finger paints, sold at confidentiality, on a confidential basis for millions of dollars, and that's how they could have trafficked in this sort of grift that they were accused of. This clearly seems like it is a potential grift, and even Obama's former ethics chief said, this seems a little fishy.
Katie, just 10 seconds left. Do you think our friend Guy, we love Guy Benson. Katie, doesn't Guy need some help in art appreciation? Seriously, don't we need a little internal class here?
I think he's seeing how enraged you are, Larry, that he doesn't want to make you more angry by taking the wrong side of this issue. But I will take the position that this art is so bad from Hunter Biden that it could have come from the laptop from hell. They could have found it on that laptop. It is so bad.
All right. Guy Benson, thank you.
Larry, I need remedial art classes from your wife.
You'd love it. You'd love her, and you'd love the art, too. Katie Pavlich, thank you so much. Guy Benson, thank you so much.
All right. Oh, that was delicious. That was delicious. Now, I, for what it's worth, am also a big proponent of the new push to return to more classical, representative art, if I may use that phrase. I think I think that ever since Jackson Pollock became a thing, art, especially in America, has become a bunch of drivel. It is more projection by the potential owner than it is an expression of talent by the artist that has been driving this market since the 50s. There are a few pieces of modern art that I like. I am a big lover of the who's the guy that did the mobiles or mobiles, depending on where he went to school? I've forgotten his name now. He has installations all over the world. I think he has an installation in Chicago. I've suddenly forgotten his name. Big fan of those. But most of the other painting has been crap. I should say all of it, really. And then certainly the physical pieces, represent things like I can't even describe it on YouTube, probably without getting my channel pulled. Let's just say there was a guy who liked to produce art using religious iconography, if not direct religious icons, and bodily expulsions as his main medium. And that was considered to be Mapplethorpe, I remember the name. That was considered to be breakthrough art by no one with half a brain. That stuff is as much art as Sinead O'Connor ripping a portrait of the Pope on Saturday Night Live. Whatever you care about the Catholic Church or the Pope, doesn't matter. Those are directly linkable. But that's my take on it. You know, I had a couple other things for YouTube, but I think it's a good place to end it there on a little life lesson from Larry Kudlow and friends at Fox Business. Let's leave it there. So YouTube, I'm going to call it a day for you. A little early. Normally, you get a full hour, 4 p.m. Eastern to 5 Eastern. And then I cut over to DLive, Trovo, and Twitch for the rest of the show. YouTube is, of course, incredibly censorious. They demonetized me months ago, and I'm trying to at least hold on to the channel as long as I can. So please consider joining us, certainly on DLive. That's where the chat is the most fun. But I know a number of people who like to be in the chat in both DLive and Trovo. Because Trovo, you make the microcurrency for just being there, while in the DLive chat, you need to contribute a little bit in order to make a bit of coin. So that is up to you, however. So YouTube, in the meantime, I'm out of here. Bye-bye.